had to step outside of my echo chamber to learn about what's going on with the transgendered community and why all this stuff, I was hearing all these things about childhood transition. I had to step outside and hear some things that I didn't like. I didn't like it. It sucked. It hurt to hear the truth of the matter and then it's really happening. And that it's also, people are associating with a party that I've never wanted to associate with before. And I had to realize that sometimes the other side is correct about things. And the Democrats aren't always correct, and they're not always your friend. So by now, you've all already heard that Biden's out, Harris is in. We've circumvented the primary process.
Whatever. Those rules aren't real.
What I'm most upset about, honestly, is the fact that we did not get to participate in a real primary after this whole little switcheroo thing happened between Biden and Harris. And basically, our lawmakers and our past presidents have nominated somebody without our say-so, without our input, and just put this figurehead in front of us and said, this is what your choice is. And I don't care that she was the vice president or currently is the vice president. That's not how this system works. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. And they have literally spit all over the American people, right in their faces, and done it with a smile.
I know, having worked inside the system, we have to reimagine public safety.
I think that a big part of this conversation really is about reimagining how we do public safety in America.
We need to reimagine.
We have to reimagine.
What we will do is reimagine.
What exactly are we reimagining? What are we reimagining? And why haven't you done anything about it in the last 3.5 years? You just stand up there and you're a talking piece. We've imagined a lot of things, right? We've imagined that we've had a great economy the last 3.5 years. We can imagine that our borders are secure and 10 million people haven't crossed over in the last 3.5 years, right? We can imagine that all of that is fine. We can also imagine that President Biden hasn't had any cognitive issues. No way. I mean, everything's fine. Everything's great. This is a reason why I'm fed up with the Democrats. It's just another thing that I'm adding to the list. We were supposed to be able to participate in that primary process. And Biden was the nominee. And then they switched it at the last minute. But if the Republicans pulled this stunt, you'd all be up in arms. And you know it. You absolutely know that that's what you would be thinking right now. And you would be going crazy if this was some kind of, on the other end of the spectrum. So the hypocrisy here is unbelievable. Harris's record on the border crisis is terrible. And now they're lying and saying that she really wasn't in charge of the border when literally it was her first assignment given by President Biden back in 2020. And it was all over the news.
But I've asked her, the VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help us. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks stemming the migration to our southern border. So this new surge we're dealing with now started with the last administration, but it's our responsibility to deal with it humanely and to stop what's happening.
U.S. President Joe Biden on Wednesday put Vice President Kamala Harris in charge of efforts to stem the flow of migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border that has led to a surge in unaccompanied children and an overcrowding of processing facilities. Harris said she'll work to address the root of the problem with leaders from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras.
Any plans to visit the border?
At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
Actually, I kind of think they're running scared.
Run, Forrest, run!
Because I don't think that they planned very well I don't know what they were doing the last 3.5 years. I've been saying this whole time that Trump is going to run again, and he could very well win again. And everybody's just sitting around like, la, la, la. Nobody really liked her when she ran in 2020. She didn't win any of the primaries. She dropped out.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
It was really a terrible performance on her part. Tulsi Gabbard went after her hard, and she deserved it, honestly. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard is a truth sayer, and she handed her butt.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like
And I inhale. I did inhale.
She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about re-entering former offenders and getting them counseling.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you were in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology. Our Democratic Party, unfortunately, is not the party that is of, by, and for the people. It is a party that has been and continues to be influenced by the foreign policy establishment in Washington, represented by Hillary Clinton and others' foreign policy, by the military-industrial complex and other greedy corporate interests.
I think that it's unfortunate that we have someone on the stage who is attempting to be the Democratic nominee for President of the United States, who during the Obama administration spent 4 years full-time on Fox News criticizing President Obama and criticizing the Democratic Party. What we need on the stage in November is someone who has the ability to win. And by that, we need someone on that stage who has the ability to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, and someone who has the ability to rebuild the Obama coalition and bring the party and the nation together. I believe I am that candidate.
Thank you, Senator. Congresswoman Gabbard, I'll give you a chance to respond.
What Senator Harris is doing is unfortunately continuing to traffic in lies and smears and innuendos because she cannot challenge the substance of the argument that I'm making, the leadership and the change that I'm seeking to bring in our foreign policy, which only makes me guess that she will, as president, continue the status quo, continue the Bush-Clinton-Trump foreign policy of regime change wars, which is deeply destructive.
If you don't criticize your own party, you've got a problem. You have to start looking at your own party and not going all the way to the left or all the way to the right on things. I did it. I was that person. I was a very firm Democrat for many years. I voted Obama twice. I voted for Hillary. Yes, I did.
We care about the policies that she has pushed with Joe Biden for the past 3.5 years. We are struggling. We can't even make ends meet You talked about retirement earlier. I have to work till I'm 70 years old in order to get my full retirement. So, no, Black America is not supporting Kamala Harris. All right. Her color has nothing to do with the failed policies that she has championed and stood on for 3.5 years.
Now, people have called Kamala the DEI candidate, but Democrats, they don't like that.
Whenever you hear DEI, I want you to think about the N-word. I want you to think about racial slurs. That's what they actually mean.
That's where we are right now, people. DEI and the N-word? Like, what? Is this a joke? I mean, is this like, is this real life? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm not buying the whole thing. I'm kind of seeing through this as a big, big mistake. Really, really big mistake. I can't believe I'm saying it in a way because I used to feel so differently about this stuff and I was much more left. And I got in contact with my friend Buck Angel, who was kind enough to have me come on his show, and I did a full-length interview with him. And that really changed everything for me, totally changed the game. And by the way, Buck Angel is not, some like hardcore like Republican or something. He's a Democrat, but he has a variety of viewers and different people that he's friends with and networks with. So through that, I started to find my own little network of people and started listening to, people that were more middle of the road about things and practical about things and really wanting to find solutions to our problems instead of the fear mongering and the tactics and all that garbage that everybody's getting sick of. So if it wasn't for Buck Angel, I probably would still be stuck in that echo chamber someplace. And I'm really, really grateful and thankful that I had the opportunity to meet with him and work with him several times on his show now. So thank you, Buck Angel, because you opened me up not just to all the problems and all the things happening in the LGBT community, but on a broader level, I've met a lot of really interesting, nice people, and some of them happen to be very conservative people, and they have no problem with me being gay and have been nice as pie, no issues. Very occasionally I get some kind of troll, but honestly, most of the people that have been yelling at me, name calling me, going crazy on me are the people in the far left. And if you're watching the same things through the same lens day after day after day, you're going to be convinced on a certain viewpoint, and that's it. Same thing if you just watch Fox. You're going to be convinced all the way the other way, completely. So mainstream media is really, really toxic. In my opinion, I think that it's really screwed us up. I think that COVID really screwed us up, us sitting in our houses all day long and watching television and fighting with our families about politics and, everything. It was terrible. And I think people are kind of coming out of that depression now and that slumber and really moving away from a lot of that thinking. That narrow thinking that a lot of us had. I don't think that the Biden-Harris camp did their job the last 4 years. Everybody, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It takes a long time to get into that algorithm in YouTube and move up the ranks. So I really appreciate the support. I'm at the very, very bottom. We're trying to make my way up. Hopefully I do.